up guys, Zappy here, and today I'm recording my week 2 team builder and match for the regional elite draft, the Red League. My week 1 video went up on Monday, in which I faced off against Nathan. If you haven't seen that yet, check it out, it should be on my channel. But yeah, I'll quickly spoil the results. We won that game 6-0, we got pretty lucky, but Scizor managed to pull through and sweep him in the end. And in week 2 we face Jaime, JH Tech 03, coach of the LA Lopunnies. We were originally gonna play Jock, who drafted this team, but he dropped out after week 1, so we face off against Jaime instead. He is 1-0 plus 6 as well. He got a 6-0 win versus Steven in week 1, which means that this is the battle of the top of the table. I'm number 1 in the table because my team's earlier alphabetically, I think, and he's number 2. So if we win this match, we are already 1 game above him. And his draft and my draft should be on the screen, but in case I forgot, his team in the order that he drafted them is LandoT with Z moves, Tangrowth, Toxapex, ThundyI, Mega Titar, Comfey, Delphox, Chansey, Hitmonchan, Cofagrigus, and Floatzel. Now, I'm not gonna name off my team because I already did yesterday and it should be on the screen anyways. But yeah, looking at this matchup, it's actually pretty bad. Like, I have got 2 good things this matchup, really two mons that work well this matchup, and the rest of my team just really doesn't function well versus his. Looking at his threats, he's got the disgusting regenerator core of Tangrowth plus Toxapex with added bulk in Chansey, Cofagrigus, Comfey, Mega Titar. Like, his team is super fat, and it's really hard for me to break outside of my, the 2 mons that I'm gonna talk about first. Offensively, Z-Lando destroys me. Like, he can just run EQ, probably Z-Fly with Dual Dance. He could also bring something like a Mental Herb set with Dual Dance to potentially not get encored by my Whimsicott. And Nasty Blood ThundyI also destroys me since I don't have a lot that outspeeds it. And T-Bolt Psychic Focus Blast just hits my entire team crazy hard, and it can Nasty Blood up on things like my Meloetta potentially and my Scizor. Mega Titar is also a huge threat, mainly defensively, because it stops my Kyurem really well, and it also stops my Swellow. Chansey can be pretty annoying because I drafted a lot of special attackers. And last of all, Cofagrigus is also pretty hard for me to deal with, since it can check my Scizor and my Kyurem pretty well. Now, looking at my side of the matchup, well, it's pretty bad, like I said. However, I do have a few things going for me. First of all, his only remover is Hitmonchan. It's the only mon that can spin, and his team is decently weak to rocks. Like, they pressure his regen core, and he actually only has 1 mon that resists rocks, which is that said Hitmonchan. The main 2 mons that are really good for me this game are my Kyurem and my Nid-O-Queen, mainly because he doesn't really have a switch in to the sets I brought. If I were to bring like different sets, he could have probably checked them like with the combination of his wall core, but these sets really do function well. But yeah, this team took me a really long time to build, so I'll go into I'll go in depth with like the sets on my thought process. So first of all, the thing I realized, also, like, this is I don't think I've ever just stared at a matchup this long without knowing what to do or what to put on my team. So before I get into my team, quick shout out to my man Tapir for helping me build and look over my team this week. And quick thing about the last week's video, well, basically the week 1 vid, I know I screwed up a lot, like my audio was too low, the background noise was, well, the background music was too high, and I accidentally added a layer over my mons in the team builder, which was only supposed to be there in the battle, and just generally didn't go so well. So I'll try to like improve myself and fix that as we go through the season. But yeah, that was it. Let me go into the teams. The first mon I actually put in this matchup was my Kyurem. Now Kyurem is really good this game because Bolt Beam coverage, like just looking at his team, Bolt Beam doesn't look amazing with Chansey and Mega Titar. However, Ice Beam with Z Fusion Bolt actually destroys it. Because just going off the list, Lando I can Ice Beam, Tangrowth I can Ice Beam, Toxapex that like I 2 kill with Fusion Bolt, but I also sub up on it. I'm sub Home Claws. I can easily sub up on Toxapex even if it's like invested. It doesn't break my sub with anything unless it's like a very invested poison jab, maybe. Kyurem, no, Thundy dies to Ice Beam. Mega Titar is actually his best check to my Kyurem. However, I believe my EVs, my attack investment, I made sure I kill Mega Titar if it's a fully offensive set after rocks with a +1 Fusion Bolt into a +1 Z Fusion Bolt. Comfey, well, Comfey actually doesn't do a lot to me, and it's not like +1 Fusion Bolt 2 KOs it. Delphox dies to a +1 Z Fusion Bolt, might even die to a neutral one, I'm not sure. I can set up on Chansey, Hitmonchan, I think it dies to a +1 Z Fusion Bolt. I know it dies to a +1, but I'm not sure about neutral. I can sub up on Kofag, and I kind of wall Floatzel, like fighting coverage is gonna hurt, but I can O-code with the Fusion Bolt and I live anyone hit. So this is really just my win con this game. I break his entire team and I can actually sub up on most of his wall core. Like I sub up on Chansey, Pex, and Kofag, and I can potentially sub up on Comfey, I think, because Comfey is really weak. But yeah, looking at my EVs, my speed is for Jolly Hitmonchan. My HP is gets me to 405, which basically means I have an uneven amount of HP, and my subs have 101 HP, meaning that Chansey can't break my sub with Seismic Toss. My special attack investment, this 12, makes it so I kill a Yachi Berry Tangrowth with an Ice Beam into another Ice Beam, if it's, I believe that's Spadef Yachi. And this PDF investment is to make sure a Kofag doesn't break my sub with a Shadow Ball. I'm sorry if you hear some background noises, that's the coffee machine going off. But yeah, this Kyurem is my win con and it's really good this matchup. So to pair up with this Kyurem, I really wanted rocks, and I actually, because this Kyurem is a really good breaker, but it's mainly my late game mon, since I don't have recovery. So since his wall core is really hard for me to deal with, something I decided to do is run Volturn into this Nid-O-Queen set. And this Nid-O-Queen is my main wall breaker for the early game. It's also my rocker. Now I went through a lot of sets with this Nid-O-Queen, but I ended up going with this one. So I've got Earth Plate, Earthquake, Ice Beam, Taunt, and Stealth Rocks. I had Life Orb Poison Jab at first to deal with Tangrowth a bit better, but I realized I'm not that worried about Tangrowth. Most of my team can beat it, and even still, Ice Beam really hurts and I can potentially taunt it. So I really wanted Rocks in this mon, because Rocks really pressure his team, like I said, and I actually ended up going with Taunt in the end. I was originally like Life Orb 4 attacks, and I was a Payapa berry set to check Thundy, like a Spadef Payapa with Roar to roar it out. But I went with Taunt mainly because I can stop Chansey from healing, I can stop Kofag from setting up a Trick Room potentially, and I can stop Titar from Dragon Dancing up, and I also make sure like a really Fizdef Pex can't potentially like recover stall me or anything. My EVs are again really interesting. These took me a while to make, but the speed is just to make sure I don't get sped crept. The special defense is to make sure I live a psychic from Delphox from full, like just max special attack. The special attack, I believe it is to 2-hit KO most like a non-AV Tangrowth with rocks, after rocks with an Ice Beam. I know my defense is to live an Earthquake from, I think it's defensive Lando, might be offensive though, I'm not sure. But the attack is just what's left over, and also like it allows me to 2-hit KO things like Fizz Def Pex. If I get the Chansey knocked off, EQ 2 KOs it. I also really smack T-Tar and I do a lot to Kofag, and then I've just got max HP. So Nid-O-Queen is my main breaker. So the thing is, his wall core gets in versus like all of these 4 mons really easily. So and this Nid-O-Queen gets in versus walls really easy. Like his offensive mons can pressure it, Lando can EQ me, Thundy can run something like a Life Orb Psychic, which will really hurt, and it does take an Ice Beam. T-Tar lives. T-Tar lives in EQ and can potentially Dragon Dance up and Earthquake me back. Delphox, of course, hits me with super effective stab. So I wanted a way to get this Nid-O-Queen in reliably. So the next mon I actually put on this team to make sure that was my Swallow. Now the main reason I went with this Swallow is because, again, I wanted momentum. But Swallow is actually like my most important mon this game, mainly because as you can see, Nasty Plot Thundy just dicks my team, and I needed something that could revenge kill it. So I decided to go with this Swallow set and Boomburst, Sub, Baton Pass and Roost with a Silk Scarf. Now, Silk Scarf with 240 special attack allows me to kill a Thundy speed creeping my Infernape after rocks with Boomburst guaranteed. I've got Sub Pass mainly because I can sub up on switches and potentially like a T-Wave from Chansey and Baton Pass out into my Nid-O-Queen. And I've got Roost to make this a potential switch into Tangrowth. Now, the main reason I wanted Silk Scarf is not only to allow me to kill Thundy, but also I didn't want lefties because I felt like it would make the sub pass strategy somewhat obvious. Like if he knew Swallow got Baton Pass, maybe he'd see it coming or anything or something like that. So yeah, this Swallow is really important, mainly to revenge kill Thundy. However, like the main purpose of this set is revenging Thundy, like I said. However, the secondary purpose is actually to get in my Nid-O-Queen versus his walls, which it can do versus all 3. Now the next mon on this team is actually my Whimsicott. Whimsicott is really important in this game because what I realized when I had a finished version of this team without Whimsicott is that a Dual Dance Lando just 6-0'd it. Like if it got up both dances on like my Scizor, it just won. So what I decided to do was bring this Whimsicott set. With Encore, I can make sure Thundy and Lando can set up on anything, because Kyurem can Ice Beam it, Nid-O-Queen can Ice Beam it, like both of these 2-hit KO. Swallow can Boom Burst them. They can set up versus Scizor, however I have got U-turn into this Thundy, and I made sure my Meloetta can 2-hit KO them both. So I've got Encore to make sure I don't lose to his genies. I'm sorry if I paused this video a lot, but I've kind of got a sore throat, so I gotta drink a lot of water. I've got Tailwind because I can actually Suicide Tailwind versus the Mega T-Tar to make sure I don't get swept by that. I've got U-turn to again get my Nid-O-Queen in versus his walls, mainly Chansey and Toxapex. And I've got Moonblast with 12 special attack, which guarantees me to 3-hit KO and max HP Mega T-Tar after rocks. So this Whimsicott really is just here as a failsafe. I also don't have a Whimsicott nickname just yet, so if you've got anything I'm mainly going with references in this, like with these nicknames, please hit me up so I can maybe nickname them on after you or something like that. But yeah, next up I've got my main glue to this team, which is my Scizor. Now Scizor is a 3 attacks roost set. The main reason I wanted 3 attacks is because of course I needed Bullet Punch. I wanted U-turn to get the slow U-turn versus genies to make sure they don't set up on me, and I wanted knockoff to pressure Chansey. Like I get rid of Chansey's item, and it's the best thing I can do to potentially pressure Toxapex. Just getting rid of items in general is really nice, and Roost, of course, to stay healthy. Now these EVs are pretty interesting. I've got 20 speed to not get speed trapped, 36 attack makes it so I guarantee 3 hit KO Lando with bullet punch if I'm not intimidated, so I can revenge kill that if it's like a bit weakened. This defense allows me to live 1 fire punch from Adam and Titar, and I believe, I'm not sure what specifically this is for, but I do know that it gives me a really good chance to live 2 life orb hydro pumps from Float Soul, and I also live 2 T-bolts from a non-boosting item Thundi. So really this thing is just here to pivot in on his walls, like I can pivot in on Chansey, Tangrowth, and Toxapex, and get slow momentum out into my Nid-O-Queen. And it's also just a really nice glue. It also prevents me from losing to Comfey straight up, because it's a pretty big threat, mainly to my Kyurem so far. Now the last one on this team, basically at this point I realized I was pretty weak to Thundi. Like I can check it offensively with my Nid-O-Queen and my Swallow, but I can't really switch into it reliably because I like Whimsicott can pivot in. However, if it's like a Sludge Wave variant or just a boosting item with HP Ice, I really need to keep my Whimsicott around to not get swept by his genies, which is why I ended up going with an Assault Vest variant of Meloetta. Now, with these EVs, I've got max HP with 4 Spadef, which allows me to live 3 Life Orb T-Bolts. It's a 4th KO. The speed is for Hitmonchan, I believe, and the special attack is to make sure I 2-hit KO Thundi with Psychic, just so that it doesn't set up on me. I've again got U-turn to gain momentum versus wall, so if he wants to switch in his, he'd probably switch in either Chansey or an AV Tangrowth on this. I can U-turn out into my Nid-O-Queen to get up blocks or taunt both of them. I've got knockoff to get rid of a Kofag's item. I've got knockoff to remove Chansey's Eviolite, and I also remove a potential AV of the Tangrowth. I've got Psychic just because Psychic really hits his team hard, and then Focus Blast is here to make sure Titar doesn't set up on me. Now that's my full team. I feel pretty confident in it. I'll try to after these team builds, I'll try to go over like his ways of beating these 6, and I'd say if he wants to beat these 6, he has to probably play his Titar really well, and if he brings like a mixed Float Soul with HP Fire, Low Kick, Waterfall, and Ice Punch, that is a really big threat to this team. Like I could have brought Jellicent, which would have stopped a Float Soul set like that. However, I couldn't really fit it on this team, especially with how much momentum it gives away versus walls. So hopefully I'll be able to deal with that. Also, Delphox can be pretty annoying to this team, however my Meloetta checks that decently well. And last of all, I'd say a pretty underrated threat is Hitmonchan if it runs like Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Drain Punch, and Mach Punch. It actually hits like my entire team. Meloetta can check it offensively, same with my Whimsicott, but it's definitely a really big threat. So yeah, that was my team. I think I went into some pretty good detail. If you guys want me to either go into more detail with about my team or less detail about my team, like just a quick look over my sets, please tell me so I can like change my team builder parts like that. But yeah, I'll get into the battle. Yeah, see you there.
Alright, so looking at the matchup and the mons he brought, he decided to bring ThundyI, Chansey, Mega Tutar, Toxapex, LandoT, and Hitmonchan. So this is a pretty solid lineup versus me. I'd say probably one of his best possible lineups. So looking at the lead matchup, something I realized is that Hitmonchan is a huge threat to my team. I expected an Assault Vest set with a Drain Punch, Ice Punch, Fire Punch, and Mach Punch, which is very scary for me to deal with because it hits like 5 out of my 6 super effectively. So to potentially pressure that out, I decide to lead off with my Meloetta, which also just generally does a lot of work to his team. As you're gonna see, he does lead off with his Hitmonchan. Now this turn 1 is pretty interesting because I of course forced this Hitmonchan out. He can live 1 Psychic if he's AV. However, Adamant Drain Punch does under 50% and I can easily 2-hit KO this thing. So what I expect him to do this turn is go out into Chansey. So what I can do, expecting that, is click Knockoff. Because even if he stays in with this Hitmonchan, Drain Punch doesn't do more than 50 and I get rid of what's most likely an Assault Vest. So I do just click Knockoff turn 1, as you're gonna see. I hit the Chansey with a knockoff and I get rid of the Eviolite. Now this is huge because Chansey is really annoying for my team to deal with, and with its item knocked off, my Nid-O-Queen can actually 2-hit KO it with my Earthquake, and my Whimsicott also becomes a lot more useful. So right here I just get a free U-turn because I get free chip, and if he wants to double out predicting something like my Scizor, if he wants to double into something like Lando, I can get him by Cure him for free. So I do decide to just click U-turn, and I go out into my Scizor because my Scizor easily lives any hit, even if he's like some tech flamethrower, I easily take that. And I just get a free U-turn. Now, the good thing about getting a U-turn is because the thing is, he doesn't want me Swords Dancing up or potentially hitting this chance with a superpower, so he's probably switching out into his Toxapex. Now the good thing about that is if I U-turn out on said Toxapex, I get in my Nid-O-Queen and I basically pick up a kill. So I do go into my Scizor as he clicks T-Wave, which is fine because my Scizor doesn't really outspeed anything, and this T-Wave actually means I get a slow U-turn out versus Toxapex, which is nice because I get in my Nid-O-Queen for free basically. So right here I just Mega Evolve and I click U-turn because it's a safe play, like there's no reason not to. He does go out into his Toxapex and I get paralyzed, which is really annoying because had I not gotten paralyzed there, I would have been able to get in my Nidoqueen and either get up rocks or basically pick up a kill with EQ/Ice Beam, depending on, well, what I'd click there. But yeah, this turn I can U-turn. I could U-turn again to still get in my Nidoqueen for free, get some momentum versus this Toxapex. However, I want to scout his set first, especially if it's like some tech Shuckaberry with like Liquidation or Scald. I don't want my Nidoqueen taking that damage, so I decided to just click Knock Off here to get rid of his item, as he sets up a T-Spike. Now this is fine because my Swallow hovers over it, and my Nidoqueen can easily absorb these because I do get in for free versus at least 3 of his mons. This damage reveals he's Fizz Def, Toxapex, and I get rid of the Black Sludge. Now this turn, I expect him to either switch out into Lando or get up another T-Spike. So right here I have a very free U-turn, and yeah, as you're gonna see, he does get up another T-Spike, and this is big because if I get off a U-turn right here, I get on my Nidoqueen, absorb T-Spikes, and I click EQ, and it's a roll to kill Toxapex from here, I believe. However, I do get paralyzed, which is annoying because I lose a lot of momentum with these paras. If had he not parried me on any of those turns, I would have gotten in my Nidoqueen for free already. So this next turn, I just click U-turn again, like it's very safe. I have little reason not to, as he goes on to the Lando. Now this is big because if I hit a U-turn right here again, I get in my Swallow, and if I get in my Swallow, I can potentially force this Lando out with the potential of a Specs Boom Burst or HP Ice, and I can set up a sub, and then Baton Pass sets up into my Nidoqueen, as he would probably go into his Chansey. However, I'm gonna get paralyzed right here, which is pretty bad, because this now gets in his Lando for free, and Lando is one of the biggest threats to my team. So this turn, I don't want this Lando setting up, and I do take any one hit, even a Z move, like there's no way he kills me, this turn, unless he like crits me with some weird ass like Z-Fly crit, might be able to do it, but that's beside the point. I just click U-turn again, not wanting him to potentially predict my switch. Click U-turn out on my Swallow or something. So I just click U-turn. Also, Scissor isn't that necessary right here. Like, it's useful for T-Tar, but I do still have Whimsicott and Whimsicott and my Nid-O-Queen, which can stop it from sweeping. So I just click U-turn here as he reveals HP Ice, HP Fire, and my U-turn does 11. Now these two damage rolls reveal to me that he is max special attack modest and max HP, which is good to know because I know that I guarantee outspeed this thing with my Curum since I'm not actually speed creeping it. And right here, this is interesting because I don't really want anything to get toxic by these toxic spikes, but I can bring in my Nid-O-Queen right here, so I'm actually forced to go out into my Swallow, which is still fine because what my Swallow does is it forces this thing out for sure. He has to switch out because Specs Boomburst is like a timid Specs Boomburst is most likely kills a max HP Lando from 90, and an HP Ice would guarantee kill him. So what I predict him to do is switch out into either Chansey or T-Tar. So my play, according to that, is to just sub, because even if he stays in, my sub would just be broken, and I can either click Boomburst or just sub again. As he does switch out into the Chansey as I get up a sub. Now this is big, because even though I can't touch this Chansey, I have a sub up. And what that means is that I can now baton pass this sub out into my Nid-O-Queen. I end up going into my Nid-O-Queen because I want these T-spikes gone. And also Nid-O-Queen 2 kills is Chansey with EQ since I did knock off the Eviolite. So I do go out into my Nid-O-Queen as he just gets up his rocks. I do absorb T-spikes as he gets up rocks. And this is big because I have my Nid-O-Queen here behind the sub. And looking at his team, I just pick up a kill because he can't pivot around this thing since everything gets 2 hit KO. So I just click EQ here. It's a safe play. I don't want this thing like I don't know, doing something weird. Like he could be some weird defense girl Chansey, which would maybe beat me 1v1. So I do just click EQ as he goes hard into the Lando. Definitely a good play right there because since my Scissor is so weakened, and I've got like things like Meloetta and Curum in the back, he doesn't need this Lando for anything. So this is probably his most expendable Mon. However, so he can use this to break the sub. This is probably his best play. I would have done the same. So I do just click EQ right here. As the next turn I'm gonna stay in, have my sub broken, and just kill this thing with an Ice Beam. As that is exactly what happens, and Nid-O-Queen picks up the first kill of the game, which is good. So as you're gonna see right here, he decides to go out into his Thundy. Now, my Nid-O-Queen lives any one hit from this, even if it's like a Spec Psychic, because it's not Z Thundy, it's Z Lando. So I could stay in and get some Ice Beam damage, but my Meloetta is very healthy, and I can easily pivot in and keep my Nid-O-Queen alive, because I want to keep this thing around for Chansey and Toxapex. So right here, I do just decide to make the pivot out into my Meloetta, as he clicks Psychic, and this is pretty big, because this, he does 11% to me. Well, 10.7 to be exact. So after doing calcs, I actually find out this is Specs Thundy, which is big, because that means he can't reliably lock himself into a move that kills my entire team. And since he's locked into Psychic right here, I get a free U-turn and free momentum. So right here I do just click U-turn as he goes out into his Chansey. I get some more chip, and right here I believe I get in my Nid-O-Queen again. I do, because even though Thundy is Specs and can't lock himself into anything, I do want my rocks up. Since I can wear it down, and my Focus Blast resist aren't that great. Like, Whimsy takes a shit ton from a Focus Blast, and Nid-O-Queen can get worn down really easily. So I do just get up my rocks right here as he stays in to click Seismic Toss, which does 26% to me. Now this turn I can just click EQ because even if he wants to pivot out into Thundy, he'll be taking rocks damage, and that'll slowly get him in range of things like my Scissors BP, and it will also get him in range of my Swellow's Boom Burst automatically. So I do just click EQ here as he stays in with his Chansey, and as you can see I do indeed 2-hit KO him, which is what my investment was for, as he just clicks Seismic Toss again. And right here I can just click EQ again because, like I said, even if he goes into Thundy, it'll be taking rocks damage. I can still use my Meloetta as a pivot into this thing, knowing its specs, and Chansey will be very low. It'll be at 6% if he does decide to switch out. Like, Chansey being at 6 is great for my Swallow. So I do just click EQ again as he does make the play out into Thundy, which is a good play for sure. Also, apologies if my voice sounds weird, like I've still got a sore throat and like I gotta cough a lot, so I may have to cut this video out like a few parts. So right here, I believe so this is interesting because my Meloetta is actually 2-hit KO'd by a Specs T-Bolt after rocks, and looking at the mons he has left, I don't really need my Scizor because after rocks, the only thing I can heal up on is the Toxapex, which might even carry HP Fire. So Scizor isn't that useful because this thing will have Fire Punch. Chansey is way too low, and T-Tar, it will be useful for T-Tar, however, T-Tar actually eats a Bullet Punch really well, and I've still got my Tailwind Whimsicott in the back to check the T-Tar. So right here, I actually decide to sack off my Mega Scizor, as he makes a really good play, and he clicks Volt Switch on my Nid-O-Queen. Now this is pretty good for me, because yes, I do sack my Scizor, however I get momentum since he clicked Volt Switch instead of T-Bolt. So as you can see, my Scizor goes down here, and he decides to go out into his Hitmonchan. Now this is big, because he doesn't actually have a good switch into my Meloetta, since T-Tar dies to Focus Blast after rocks, Chansey's at 6%, Thundy will be at 50%, meaning it dies to Psychic, and Toxapex also dies to 2 Psychic. So right here, I could have gone into Whimsicott, however the Assault Vest variant of Hitmonchan actually eats my Moonblast really well, and it can potentially hit me back with an Ice Punch. And I need to keep Whimsicott still alive for the T-Tar, especially since my Scizor is down now. So right here I do go out into my Meloetta, and I just click Psychic, because there's no drawback, because T-Tar, unless it's like a really bulky set, dies to Focus Blast after rocks. So I do just click Psychic right here, I force him out, and I kill the Chansey with a Psychic. So Chansey's now officially down. Like, he could have potentially spun and then attempted to heal up against my Whimsicott maybe. But yeah, this frees up my Swallow a lot. So this next turn, as you can see, Meloetta puts a lot of pressure on his team, and right here he goes out to T-Tar. Now you might see this as a misplay since Focus Blast doesn't actually guarantee kill. However, I did reveal that I was a max special attack if you calc the damage output, and T-Tar can potentially live with Focus Blast, but he can also dodge and kill my Meloetta right here, which would be annoying for me. However, he can go into Thundy since it dies to Psychic, PEC dies to Psychics and can't touch me, and Hitmonchan still doesn't kill me and also dies to 2 Psychics. So he goes out into his T-Tar right here, as I can't allow this thing to set up multiple, because if this thing sets up two Dragon Dances, I most likely after Tailwind still outspeed with my Meloetta and my T-Tar. However, I can't risk this thing being a potential Rock Polish set, especially if he's like Rock Polish with Fire Blast, Stone Edge, and EQ. Because if he sets up 2 Rock Polishes, I can't Encore him, since it's a dark type, and he'll outspeed my entire team at +4 even under Tailwind. So I have to click Focus Blast here and get off damage. As you're gonna see, he does just Mega this turn, and I click Focus Blast and I just kill T-Tar. Now this is huge because with T-Tar gone, um, I basically win because my Nid-O-Queen forces Thundy to be locked into Psychic. The Toxapex dies to EQ. This thing takes like 80% from my EQ. My Swallow also, like basically everything's now freed up to just spam moves. Like I can easily spam Boom Burst with my Swallow. I can spam EQ with my Nid-O-Queen. I can't really use my Whimsicott effectively since the Toxapex does wall me. However, my Meloetta also just kills everything with Psychic from this range, and my Kyurem uh, also kind of just wins. Like, I gotta watch out for Focus Blast, but I've still got my Nid-O-Queen, which does resist it. So this turn, he decides to go into Stundy, I believe. Yeah, he goes into Stundy. Now, my Psychic actually kills him from this range, most likely, unless he's like a very bulky set. However, I did the calcs, and a Dark Pulse doesn't kill me, however, it leaves me very low. So after a Dark Pulse, I'm definitely in Rock's range, and if he gets a higher roll, I believe I'm even in Sandstorm range. So I want to keep this Meloetta around, mainly because at this point, Toxapex could be pretty annoying if if it crits my Nidoqueen with the Scald, and also I want to keep this thing around for Hitmonchan because Hitmonchan actually doesn't take any damage at all from my Whimsicott. Like it bounces off. It can also take a hit from my Kyurem and Drain Punch it back. My Nidoqueen can't do a lot to it. Like it can't take a hit from my Nidoqueen and Ice Punch me. And my Swallow's almost in range of a Mach Punch. So I do decide to keep this around. And right here I decide to just sacking off my Nidoqueen is my safest play. Especially seeing as I still got my Kyurem around as a potential stop to him spamming T-Bolt. And if he does click something like T-Bolt, or he might even click Signal Beam this turn, my Nidoqueen can actually take 2 hits. So as you're gonna see, he actually clicks Focus Blast this turn, and he misses. Now this is big because my Nidoqueen actually lives a Focus Blast from 36%, which is where I'm at. It does 35.4 max. So right here, I just basically pick up a kill because Ice Beam and EQ kills his remaining 3, like kills everything, and my Nidoqueen guaranteed lives a Focus Blast. So he had to hit 2 Focus Blasts right there, which is kind of like, I believe it's a 50-50 chance. Like it might even be like 49-51, something like that. So he clicks Focus Blast again, not knowing my set, and he misses, which is big because I click Ice Beam and Thundy is now dead. And with Thundy dead, I guarantee win because my Meloetta kills his remaining 2 mons with Psychic. Like he reveals later that this is not AV Hitmonchan, so it dies to Psychic, and Toxapex can't actually touch me. So Nidoqueen kills off the Thundy, and I believe that's the 3rd kill for. No, it's the 3rd kill for Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen killed both his genies and the Chansey. So this thing definitely did a lot of work this game. So he goes on to Toxapex, and I realize that I actually live a Scald from this range, guaranteed. It does 33% max since Pex is weak as shit. So I do decide to just throw off an Earthquake right here. As you're gonna see, it does 57%, and he clicks Scald and does 30. So he thought it was a roll, I believe. However, I was guaranteed to live this, and right here I just click EQ again because either Toxapex dies or Hitmonchan takes like 80%, which is like, that's really good because Nidoqueen basically picks up another kill. So he does decide to switch out into Hitmonchan this turn, as EQ does a whopping, I believe it does 80. Yeah, I do 81%, which is huge. Nidoqueen did a lot of work this game. Like, I'm really liking this thing so far. I've used it before, but it definitely hasn't performed anywhere near as well as in this game. So Of course, this is a competitive league and I want to perform well. So what I decide to do right here is I decide to preserve differential, knowing my Whimsicott lives any one hit, even if he clicks Ice Punch this turn. So I do just switch out on my Whimsicott, as I believe he clicks Bullet Punch this turn. Yeah, he does, and that does 30, which means my defense investment on Whimsicott definitely comes through right here. So what I can do now, this thing, I'm not sure what it's exactly at, so I don't know if it dies or rocks just yet. However, right here I can just get a free, I get a free U-turn, because if he stays in, I just U-turn out into anything and kill it. And if he switches into PECs, I set up a sub with Curum and I just win. So he stays in, clicks Bullet Punch again right here. He does 33%, like gets a bit of a higher roll. I kill him with the U-turn, so that's a kill for Whimsicott. And he only has his Toxapex left. I just go out to my Curum, and I click my Z Gigavolt Havoc Z Fusion Bolt, and that is the 5-0 win for your PEC Buzzwole in week 2 of Red. So GG to my opponent, to Jaime. Definitely a very good game. This was his first time using this team, so he may not have been comfortable with it, especially since it's a very controversial team. Like, it's kind of stally with Chansey plus the regen core, but it was really just Nid-O-Queen that put the team on its back. Like, my game plan this week was Nid-O-Queen plus momentum spam, and that's exactly what happened, and it worked out perfectly. Meloetta also did really well, but the MVP was definitely my Nid-O-Queen. So yeah, that's it. I'm 2-0 plus 11 now, which is a really great differential, and I am at the top of the league. There are, however, 4 more undefeated teams at this point. Those being Cam, who's 2-0, Zeden is 2-0, Lonely is 2-0, and I think Alex, yeah, Alex is 2-0. So next week, week 3, I actually face Zeden, and I actually already played this game 2 days ago, and I'm really looking forward to like recording this game for you guys, because my match versus Zeden was so good. Like, there were so many mind games and 50-50s. Like, I really want to put it out there on YouTube because it was such a fun game. But yeah, that was it for me today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment and leave me with like feedback. I hope this was a lot better than last week's video, since like my well, the week 1 vid, since the audio was kind of fucked up and shit. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.